everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about why Teutons are finding a very niche but very impactful position in tournament play for AoE2. Listen, Teutons are a fan favorite. They're one of the civilizations that we grew up playing from Age of Kings all the way from the start of the game. They're very noob friendly in the sense that they're easy to understand. They've got some cool units, shout out to the Teutonic Knights, and they've also got a lot of the expensive and heavy options in late game like Paladin, Siege Onager, Bombard Cannon, Monks, etc. And so naturally, they're a civilization that a lot of players love to play. Add on top of that the fact that they've got the farming eco for cheap, and they just feel so satisfying and so easy and approachable as a beginner player looking to learn a civilization. However, for the longest time, they've just been pretty bad in tournaments. If you pick them on a kind of hybrid map, like where there's water, then it doesn't really work out because you're not farming as much, you're not using that bonus. They're lacking husbandry, so even on maps like Arabia, you kind of just like your cavalry doesn't do enough. Other people are just destroying you with arbalest civs because you don't have a bracer on your skirmishers. So there's like a ton of reasons why Teutons didn't really find success on most maps for tournaments. However, 2 or 3 years ago, something changed, and on one particular map, Teutons became absolutely insane on. Now, it's not insane because they're the best civ on this map, but they're insane because they counter the best civilizations on this map. And of course, the map is Land Madness. Now, it was actually the Viper who first popularized Teutons on this map, but there was a lot of thought and a lot of reasoning that went into that choice of civilization. Why was it Teutons and why not some other civilizations? Well, let's take a look at what the meta was and what players were playing on Land Madness. What sparked the idea of Teutons being good here? Well, Land Madness is a map where you cannot wall your woodlands in. Therefore, you cannot fully wall your base because there's always some place where you can't wall. So you can either make small walls around your lumber camp or just play completely open. And in both of those scenarios, we saw that cavalry civilizations are actually the best to play on this map. And the reason for this is because you can't fully wall, therefore scouts running around the map, keeping that mobility active and keeping that vision and that flexibility on the map was the best thing that you can do. Against any archer civ, if they go archers, you can easily go scouts into skirms, and the archers can never be safe on the map because they can't full wall. And so therefore, if the archer player is at his base, you can literally just dive him with your skirms and your scouts. And even if he mixes in his own scouts, usually your scouts with bloodlines and armor plus skirmishers, you're just going to outnumber the archer player who usually won't have bloodlines on his archer civilization or just won't have enough scouts on the field in time to defend your push. And so right away players came to realize that, okay, strong cavalry civs are really good on this map. And so right away the best cavalry civs, the best scout rush civilizations, Franks, Magyars, those two civs, maybe even Mongols, they started to be very popular on the map Land Madness. Huns, Chinese, all with the idea of playing heavy cavalry on this map. And so for the longest time, those civilizations were the ones that thrived until Teutons started to be getting picked on these maps as a way to counter those cavalry civilizations. Let's break it down now and understand why Teutons are so good into those other cavalry civs. Well, in general, Teutons have an amazing melee matchup. Their cavalry, knights, and scouts in Castle Age have an extra melee armor, and in Imperial Age have 2 extra melee armor, and the same goes for all of their infantry. This makes it so in Castle Age, if there's a knight on knight action, Teutons are favored. If there's a pike on pike action, Teutons are favored. Not only that though, but they also have resistance against monks. Their units all resist conversions, and we all know in a knight versus knight matchup, monks are king, and so Teutons goes monks, the enemy who's Magyars or Franks might go monks, but then Teutons have that extra resistance. And then if it's a knight and pike situation, Teutons are once again favored, and then in terms of economy, Teutons are always keeping up because they've got the farms being cheaper, and so there's not a single moment of the game where Teutons are falling behind against a civilization that's excelling in cavalry. And then what if you say, okay, how about I just play an archer civ against Teutons? Well, that's where the map comes in. Because we already established that Land Madness is very heavily geared towards cavalry because the archer player can never wall, all of a sudden Teutons aren't afraid of archer civs anymore. Because the problem is on Arabia, if the guy with archers and crossbows like Ethiopians, really strong early arbalest power spike, he can just sit behind walls, get his economy rolling, and then come early Imperial Age, he'll move out with arbalest, go for a forward castle, and he'll kill Teutons before they can get to Paladin, before they can get to Onager, and they just have no chance dealing with early Imperial Age arbalest. But on Land Madness, there's no walls. And so your knights, your cavalry, cavalry, your siege, your skirmishers, you're always able to dive the crossbow player. Just run under his town center, run under his nose, and kill all his crossbows before he can get access to Arbalest and to Imperial Age. Not only that, but the map is also very map control oriented. It's very important to have control of the map because there's so many different gold spots and stone spots spread across the map. And so you're not really able to just stay in your base anymore. You have to kind of go out and expand, which is once again favoring the cavalry civ. And so what we noticed was that Teutons started getting picked in the draft. Now going into a tournament match, you have usually a draft system where players will take turns picking civilizations, and usually the civilizations on Land Madness that were thriving, Franks and Magyars and maybe even Khmer, were being picked very early. And so what players started doing is they'll let their opponent get Magyars, Khmer, Franks, their pick, no problem, and then they'll last pick Teutons because no one is picking Teutons. And so you last pick Teutons, you pick all the other good civs on other maps, and then Land Madness, you go for the counter pick Teutons, and you're in such a good position against those cavalry civilizations. So the games would play out like this. Both players go scouts, Teuton player goes to Castle Age, other guy goes to Castle Age, no problem. Then they go knights and monks, and then they'll switch to pikes in mid Castle Age, and Teutons are winning those exchanges at all points of the game. Then going to late game, Teutons have paladin, they've got gunpowder, they've got halberdiers with extra armor, they've got monks with extra range. Teutons are missing nothing in late game, especially against cavalry civilizations. And so Teutons were just destroying their opponent with a mix of halberdier and paladin, or a mix of hand cannoneer and halberdier with bombard cannon. No matter what the composition was in Imperial Age, as soon as Teutons got there, they were usually the better civilization. And so what did players start doing in response to this? Usually what we saw was cav archer civilizations starting to be picked up just in case your opponent has Teutons in the draft. You'll start picking civs like Mongols, so although it's a cavalry civ, you can switch into Mangadai and be completely fine. You would go civs like Saracens that can play cavalry, but then you can also go cav archers. Civs like Huns, Magyar started playing towards cav archers, although Magyar cav archer not exactly the best in the early game because they're still pretty expensive, so sometimes Teutons can beat you with knights and siege. So you still got to be cautious, but players, instead of going knights with Magyars and scouts, that was quite smooth. You'd open a few scouts and then you go cav archers. So it's not as smooth of a build order, it's not as smooth of a game, but at least you have the cav archers, which can counter the Teuton cavalry, because Teutons are of course missing husbandry, so they have a hard time chasing around CA, and usually they're the ones getting chased down by the CA. And so because of this one, Teutons being insane at countering cavalry and melee matchups, we started seeing a shift away from the Franks on Land Madness, from the Khmer on Land Madness, and we started seeing a lot more cav archer based civilizations. So not only did the civilizations kind of change, but so did the playstyle of those civilizations. We still don't see a whole lot of archer civilizations being played. It's usually just cav civs. If your opponent has Teutons, you try to play cav archers if possible, and that is the current meta that we have on Land Madness at the moment, which is a very popular tournament map. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of a peek into like how the meta develops for pro play in Age of Empires 2. A lot of you guys probably don't really care too much about professional play or tournaments or whatnot, but it's still nice to know these things because next time you tune into a tournament, you're not completely oblivious to what's going on. And maybe if I make more of these videos, you can start to understand a little bit more about what the thought process is for pros before, you know, they draft and pick the civilizations on these particular maps. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know if you guys want to see more of these videos, or if you have any questions about pro play that you guys want me to dissect. I really enjoy making these videos, so I'm totally open to suggestions. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching and have a nice day. Take care, subscribe, peace, like the video, check me out on Twitch, check Patreon, etc. Peace, boys. Have a nice one. I'll catch you guys in the next video.